So in this video, I want to take you on a tour of my Milwaukee setup. Not just what I own, but what do I actually use. And I'll show you the tools that I absolutely would not want to live or work without. And yeah, I'm going to be honest about a couple of the tools that honestly, I barely touch. Not because they're bad, but more so that I found another tool that I think works just honestly flat out better. Hashtag sorry, Milwaukee. But it's true. Now, before we get started, guys, I want to just say thank you for liking and subscribing. It really does help a small channel like mine. And if you appreciate the time spent and the weekly content, I'd love for you to consider dropping a comment down below that tells me what your perceived skill level is. Are you a beginner? Are you kind of somewhere in the middle? Are you a very skilled pro DIY maker, etc.? Where are you at? Now, I just thought it'd be fun also at the end of this video, I'm going to give you my top 5 Milwaukee tools, not just because of the utility, but honestly because they're the ones that I enjoy using the most, right? And I'm also going to be giving you guys my top 5 tools that's just surprised me the most, right? The ones that I honestly can tell you I wasn't expecting much, but they totally delivered. So, shoot dine. Let's get on with it. Let's go. So one of the things that I want you to pay attention to is, as we're looking at this, check out the proximity of where things are stored, especially if you're just starting your journey on organizing, whether it be your garage or your shop. You want to look at the proximity of what you're going to be using and where you're going to be using it at. So you're going to notice that I have multiple pods of tools at a variety of different spots, which I'll kind of show you the thought process why I'm doing it the way that I'm doing it, okay? Most of the time, this is where I do a vast majority of my everything. You could tell because I've got my fatigue mat here, and I absolutely love that, but I do it all here. So as I need my tools, right, I've got everything that I need here. So let me show you this first drawer. So this top drawer is going to represent the things that I honestly go to the most when I'm doing my projects. So the one that I'll start off with, and this has been something that I use just a ton, is the Milwaukee M18 brad nailer. This comes in so handy on so many variety of projects, but this is definitely one to kind of check out. I did have a rigid brad nailer, but it continually would not drive them all the way. And I know that's been a problem that rigid has had for a while. So when it was time to upgrade, I was super stoked with this one. Have not had any issues whatsoever. Another tool that has just been instrumental is their compact router. The router is something, it is the M18 platform that, but use this all the time. And one of the features I just absolutely love is this micro adjustment that's on the back here. It is just fantastic. So especially if you're just doing simple things such as roundovers or whatnot. Now, something that I personally use more than I thought I would is going to be this. This is an angle grinder. So this is the M18 version. I've just got a flap wheel on this right now as we were just removing paint off some of the furniture that we had on our patio. But this comes in handy, especially if you have like a cutoff wheel. I was using this to make those tire chairs from those recycled tires that someone illegally dumped on our property. So turning lemons into lemonade. And then of course I've even got the soldering gun, and this we use quite a bit, especially with the Band of Brothers when we're doing different projects on the guns or whatnot, or just different connector points. This has come in handy too, just to have cord free. And then of course the Milwaukee M18 Fuel, and this is the hacksaw. So I love this. This is a one-handed application. I just think the ergonomics is fantastic. You can put your hand on top here if you need to get a little extra pressure, but this has come in so handy on so many different time frames. The other thing that I'll maybe talk about is this M18, and this is going to be the jigsaw. I love this top handle. This works phenomenal. Again, I had a rigid one, and I could, for the life of me, even though I would continue to try to reset it, I could not get this straight in relation to the blade itself. But with this, I've had just zero issues. So this would definitely be one that I would consider. And then, of course, my blades, etc. So let's now fade down to drawer number 2. In drawer number 2, I've got some things that I use. Now, the one that I'll maybe point out is going to be my M12 fan. This thing comes in clutch. On days where it's 110, 120 degrees out here, my goodness, it is even with an AC unit, it sometimes can be challenging to keep it cool. So having a little bit of air moving past you comes in handy. So I'll use that even at my desk sometimes to create a little bit of flow, whether it's here or out in the field. But the M12 fan is an absolute game changer. I love that. Also, I've got the newer, the 6.5 inch circular saw, and this has been absolutely fantastic. It's smaller, it's lightweight. When I go into the field, this thing is absolutely fantastic. I can just clip it off and I can utilize it. This thing has been super awesome. So if you're in need of one, this is an excellent choice. Again, that's the 6.5 inch. And then of course, one that is probably more unique to us. I have to do a lot of clean water transplanting. So for those of you that watch the latrine video that I have, this transfer pump works fantastic. Now, if you're looking at something that's a little bit more user-friendly to having debris in the water, then you're going to want to look at their stick pump. But if you're looking for just how do I transfer clean water from point A to point B, this thing is an M18 version of that. Water in, water out with the impeller right here. Works fantastic. You can move a good amount of volume in a short period of time. Now, one of the other things that I absolutely love, and this has been fantastic, is this inflator. This is an M18 version, right? And this has memory, so I can set it to, you know, my four-wheeler tires, 10 pounds versus a car, 32 versus a truck tire, right, in the 50s, right? You could set a variety of different things, and they've got a few different attachments on the back that are indwelling, and you can set it and go, and this thing, phenomenal. So definitely check that out. Now, as far as the bottom drawer, okay, these are a little bit less used for me. A couple of cutting options that I have actually just really enjoyed. One is I've got this, which is an M18 version. These are double cut shears, which I'll be doing a separate video on the basics of like cutting metal. And this is one of the options, which is awesome, right? So again, a double cut shear has two different blades traveling up and down. So you're cutting off, you're having a little bit more excess, but there's a lot less deflection, if you will, or bend on the edge of that once you're done with it. These actually work really good, but again, it's more for a flat sheet that you're going straight for a longer time. This works out great. Now, along the same line of that is going to be this tool over here, and this is the Milwaukee, the M12 Nibbler. I just love this tool for so many different reasons. One, guys, if you are living in a hot climate where the grass is so dry, you have to be cautious when you're cutting metal in those areas. Now, again, as some of you that might know, as you follow my channel, I do a ton of work out at the land. I have a 40-acre plot where we do airsoft, and I cannot just go out there when I need to cut metal and throw a cutoff wheel on my angle grinder, because that's going to throw sparks. Guess what? That's the next car fire. For those of you that have watched the news over the last couple of years, we have been inundated with fires here in Northern California. I certainly don't want to be the guy that causes one of those. I want to be respectful of that. But the Nibbler is awesome. This allows me, I can go out in the middle of dry grass cutting, and this just it's like a hole punch that's taking off these little moonlit type shapes, and it collects it in the bag as well. This thing has been amazing because I can use it in the field without worry of starting the next fire, if you will. Again, M12 version, Nibbler, has multiple positions, and this is great because this allows me to cut angled sheet metal, whereas this double cut shear, really, I only like to use this when I'm doing straight cuts on non-curved, or like if you have a corrugated tin. This, because you can curve it as you're going up and down the ridges. M12 Milwaukee Nibbler, star. Okay, another one that has been really awesome is this rivet gun, and this is something that just recently I used this on the van project when we were trying to decrease the sharpness of the edges. But this allows you to kind of take these rivets and it collects them in the back of this, so once it's been used, it stores the shaft in this so that you're not dropping them everywhere. But this is something that has been really good if you're trying to do sheet metal to sheet metal. This works phenomenal on a couple of our work trailers. This has been awesome, and even for us out at the Band of Brothers, a couple times when I need to put the metal to the metal, this will work great rather than, you know, drilling a hole, putting a bolt with a nut. These rivets just work phenomenal, and they are not coming out. These are awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, another thing that I want to share that I've actually used quite a bit more than I thought is going to be, this is what they call the deep cut bandsaw. This is the M18 version. This will cut metal, this will cut wood, and I've used it quite a bit. Now you can see the deep cut represents it's got a longer space at which it can actually make a valid cut. Now for me, this has been awesome, especially because I do a lot on the land when it relates to 4x4 posts. You know, where a circular saw will only cut through a portion of it. I'll do it to get it nice and straight on both sides, and then I'll use this to kind of connect the two and make sure that I get a nice clean cut all the way through. And just last week I was putting up an electrical panel that I'm installing here at the property, and just cutting through that uni strut to get an angle as I'm pounding it into the ground. This thing worked phenomenal. And it's not like that hacksaw that you saw earlier. You know, that thing just goes back and forth, so it kind of jumps. So if you're newer to the game, this definitely feels like a tool that's probably not for a beginner. Not that you couldn't, but if you're in the market and you are a beginner, this is constantly pulling. So once you rest the item against this, the base, and it's pulling, it's not jumping all around. I find that this, I can get cleaner cuts from the start and moving forward. So this one has been a great tool as far as that's concerned. Now, the last thing in the drawer that I want to go over is this Milwaukee. This is an M12, and this is an insider ratchet. Now, let me just point out, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I've not really bought many ratchets because I feel that these were come in most handy if you're a wrencher, if you're a mechanic, something of that nature. And honestly, until recently, I'm like, there's nothing really pushing me over the edge except for this. When I got with the insider ratchet, this one you can see is hollow, right? And if you look at a lot of the bits, or especially the bits, it's a specific size frame, but you'll also notice that these are kind of hollow going through and through, right? So when I insert this onto the insider ratchet, let's say I have like an all thread that I need to pass through, I can actually start, let's say it's this long, I could start on that and drive it all the way through. Because that's hollow, the all thread or the post will actually come out the back. Whereas normally when you've got sockets, you've got deep sockets, but you're only able to get this far on before you're no longer able to tighten. This, you can actually thread it all the way down. So this has been honestly really a great investment. So if you're a DIYer and you're looking for one of the ratchets, I believe that the insider ratchet is honestly probably one of the best choices for just versatility as it relates to DIY making, etc. So that's the primary drawer here. I'm going to take you to my next spot. Whenever you're doing projects, right, you always have to break down sheet goods. So I want to show you my setup because now we'll get into my plunge saw. So let me take you over here. Now guys, as you guys already know, a lot of you have seen my man cave. Underneath is where I keep all of my sheet goods, right? I keep it out of sight because I only use them once in a while. And then when I'm getting ready to pull them out, I want to show you something. As I bring them over to the bench, I set it on top of these arms, which swing up, which allow me to not have to lift them so much. Slides onto here. And then I want to show you on the other side, this is where I do all my breakdown. This is where I keep my plunge saw, and this is where I keep all of that down in this drawer. So down here, I want to point out that I've got the foam pads that I'll use to kind of form my base of my sheet goods, especially as I'm getting ready to cut them. And then I made this drawer that actually houses my it's got a battery, and then also the M18 track saw. Now, the other thing that I think is really kind of neat is I built this little enclosure here that allows me to take this 55-inch, or I think it's 140 centimeters long, as far as my actual track. And I've got one other one that I want to show you here. So when I have something a little bit larger, like I want to cut a full sheet, I believe this one is 8 feet 10 inches long. I've got this, which rests just over here, kind of out of the way, if you will. And this track, again, allows me to go all the way through a full sheet without having to join multiple cuts from a smaller track. So absolutely love having this. Now, the track saw, in my opinion, is a game changer. I used to spend so much time setting up my cuts, lining up a 2x4 to cut against it, try to get straight cuts. To me, if you can afford it, this is one of the game changers of the shop. And I'm going to be really honest. The thing that caused me to get this was that I used to have the Craig ACS track saw, and it was a corded. Now for me, again, I did most of my cutting over there. I had not built this table yet. And what I did is I had to constantly be stepping over cords. My biggest fear, of course, is battery power and battery technology. I want to assure you guys that when I got this, I was flabbergasted by how much power this has. It does not slow down, even when you're cutting through harder woods at a thicker capacity. I was thoroughly impressed. So check this one out. All right, you guys. Now, I want to be honest with you. This is probably one of the tools that I have not used as much as I thought I would. And quite honestly, I think there's a lot better options out there. Hashtag mistakes were made. I feel like this for me has been a mistake. I mean, the original thought process was that as I go out to the land, I do have a Honda generator that we use, but there's oftentimes I have to split off, and this will allow me to utilize my M18 batteries to provide the power for something. So please understand, I'm not saying that there's no use for it. There's absolutely a use for it, and I believe this will give me 3,600 total, and this will also allow me to charge my batteries, but I cannot do the same at the same time, meaning I can't charge and use the plugs at the same time. If I'm charging the batteries, I'm charging the batteries. You don't get to use this as a power supply during that time frame. And again, you take these individual cells and you pop your batteries in. It does require 4. It will not run off of 3, 2, or 1. You have to have 4 in there when you're utilizing it. All right. And so, hey, it's okay. I keep this down here just because it's a little bit larger. I believe there are other units. I know this isn't Milwaukee, but like different Jackery units that will do great, in its place. So with that being said, let's head over here. All right, guys, I'm not going to necessarily go over all of the things that are inside of my Packout system, my Packout setup. I have a video, and I'll link that up top here for you guys to check that out if you want a little bit further in depth. But I will say 2 things that I was surprised at how much I did end up using it, and I do like it. However, there's one caveat. One, the cooler. Love the cooler. I love the fact that it is just integrated into the Packout. I definitely think that it's overpriced, and I also think that 2, I love utilizing it. So it kind of takes away that the negativity that goes along with the price. So the other thing is going to be this M18 radio. Now, the only thing I will say, there is a part of me that wishes that I maybe would have went with a smaller one. They make an M12 version. Now, it does not have the sound that this one does. This has speakers on all 4 sides. My daughter just had the Doyle's wedding, and we used this for the party afterwards, or not a day afterwards, right? But we utilize this, and this thing is phenomenal, and it gives sound in every direction. So I'm not saying I wouldn't have bought this. I do think that there's a strong application for a more condensed version of this as well. It's just hard to justify buying both. So I do think this is, if I only could buy one, I do think this is the better way to go for a few different reasons, because this one in the cubby over here does allow me to connect my phone, and it also allows me to charge my phone and to charge a variety of things inside that protective cubby amongst continuing to stay with the Packout system. So love this. Now let's continue over here. All right, I got a few different Milwaukee tools in here, so let's talk about this one. This is actually the M12 grease gun, and this has come in super handy. Again, I was telling you, with the 4-wheelers, trailers, I use this actually quite a bit, and I found that this works extremely well. So definitely check this out, especially if you have a lot to do. Having the manual versus just pulling a trigger is just absolutely awesome. So check out that. Now, over here, this is one of the tools that I think are going to be in my top 5. Spoiler alert. But when you look at my compound sliding miter saw, the reason why I love this is for a couple different reasons. One, it's portable. I could take this with me wherever I'm going. It has been an absolutely phenomenal game changer. All I got to do is disconnect here, connect my 4 pins, and this pulls right along with me. The other thing that I'm loving is It's my system. I know that they have a variety of different types, right? But this one is just the wristwatch remote. I found that really, I only utilize that vacuum for this right now. I realize it's not the most efficient setup, and I realize that it's extremely overkill to have a 1250 CFM for a compound sliding miter saw. But it is what it is right now until I dedicate a line for it. The table saw runs off a completely separate circuit, and it's over there doing its thing. So I love this, and I love having the battery operated again. So it is just absolutely portable, portable, portable. So let's move over to this top cupboard. All right, you guys. This is going to be another where I tend to keep my drills and my drivers. I've got obviously the right here, which is the M18 version. This is the fuel. Love having that. I also love having, this is the 1/4 inch, but this is the impact. This works well. And again, in one of my previous videos, someone had mentioned the idea that you're not supposed to store your batteries on your guns. It just decreases the life. So what I end up doing is just kind of you guys could do it as well, is I keep it like this. So it's not actually connected. So then when I go to grab it, I just put my fingers on the front, pull it together, then I pull it off, and now I'm ready to go. So just like that. And then of course I've got the drill driver combinations up top, which are absolutely fantastic. Again, this is the 4-in-1, which I'm going to be showing you a little bit later. I think this is a fantastic little game changer. And of course, all the Milwaukee bits I think are worthwhile checking into, like the T25, the Phillips, etc. And then the square for when you're doing like Craig pocket joints or whatnot. All right, you guys, and a couple of things that I want to just kind of point out. One, back in the day, remember, the bigger the better, right? Now it's actually just quite the opposite. And that was because the bigger you had your tool, you could assume that there was more power, more use, if you will. Now technology has gotten so good that actually you can go smaller and still have similar power ratings. It's phenomenal, right? So when it comes to the drill, some of you might be running, well, gosh, why do you like the M12 so much? Well, because honestly, for everything that I do, it gives me professional style results, if you will, or semi-professional, right? I'm not going to be, if I'm on a construction site, I'm going to need more power. There's no doubt about that. But for a majority of what I do as a DIY maker, it works perfect, and it's lightweight and it's compact. So brilliant. Now, I will say this. I used to have the big old fat tapes, 20 plus feet, but now the one that I use a lot is going to be this 16 foot. But honestly, the one I carry on me, you're going to see on my apron, is going to be this 6-footer. Most of the time, what I'm doing inside the shop, when I'm doing it, is within that 6 feet. Ounces equal pounds, pounds equal pain, right? So from that perspective, smaller is better. Just clips right onto my apron. This has been absolutely awesome. Now, something that I use every time that you see one of these videos is going to be this Milwaukee top off. I use this to charge my phone, to charge my receiver for my mic, and then also for the stand and a variety of different things. This has just this hook rafter hang off of, that it hang off the bottom, and then cords are going that are charging those things so that I don't run out of battery in the middle of a shoot. And this actually has a plug-in, right? But it's also up top, it has a USB-A as well as a USB-C that I can use to charge my equipment while I'm in use. This has been awesome. All right, now we're going to head out to the garden shed. I want to show you a couple things that I don't keep in the shop. There's just no need for it. So let's head out there. Oh, one other thing. All right, these Milwaukee, these I actually have the, phone's drunk. Slow down. Every time I want to move. It's going to be these glasses. I love these safety glasses. These also come with a bifocal component at the bottom of it. You could probably see there. Again, as we all age, and unfortunately we are all aging, these come in really handy, especially when you're reading smaller markings, things of that nature. Now, I was going to say let's go to the garden shed, but before we do, I forgot there's one tool that I want to make sure that I show you, and that's over here. All right, so in here I've actually got 3 tools that I want to maybe point out. One is going to be the blower. This is a phenomenal tool. It's the single battery one. I will tell you that one thing that I can tell you that I'm extremely disappointed in when it comes to Milwaukee is this is not the Forge battery, but this is the M12. And I bought this before they came out with the Forge. This, I feel like I do not get a great amount of run time. This is my least favorite Milwaukee thing that I own. This is the most embarrassing, I'm like, are you kidding me? Almost felt ripped off by Milwaukee when I use this. I'm just amazed at how poor of a function this is. So, but it does give me a few minutes of runtime with this, and the amount of turbulence this provides is awe-inspiring. Now, also down low, this is something that comes in really handy if you're doing much work where you don't have a lot of electricity. This thing comes in handy as can be, and this puts out a lot of different white light. And this is the Milwaukee's power tower, or excuse me, light tower, and it works great. I can tell you from a lot of my thumbnails, for a lot of this stuff, this is what I'm using in the background, whether it be for airsoft or not. So I'll set that off to the side right now. And the last thing that I'll point out from in here is going to be the multiplane level. This thing is a great tool. I don't use it as much as I thought I would, to be quite honest with you. But again, this is an M12 version that just allows me to give my line. And this, when you need it, this thing is priceless. But I just don't need it as much as I thought I would. But yet it is fantastic of a tool. So if you're in the market or you want a multiplane level, this one would be something to strongly consider. And of course, I do have the Milwaukee levels. I've got the 4-foot level, or I think this is 122 centimeters, which I think comes in fantastic. I love keeping them in these. I just got them in PVC just to protect them. And then I've got this one, which is a 24-inch or a 61 centimeter level. These things are excellent, great quality. All right, let's head out to the garden shed. Now, guys, I want to be honest with you. When it comes to back here, this is one of those areas that's just, it's in progress. It's a prayer in progress back here. But this summer, I'm going to be making a lot of change as it relates to this back area and developing it, my resort area, my carport area. A lot of this is getting cleaned out and everything. So super excited about the changes that are going to happen across this next multiple months. But I got the garden shed right behind me. Let's head inside. And I must warn you, it's messy, but let's get in there. All right, you guys, this is definitely a mess in here, but nonetheless, it is going to be taking shape hopefully this year. So with that being said, I want to show you a few tools. And earlier in the conversation, I had mentioned that there's one of the Milwaukee tools that I think there's more of a better option out there. And I'm going to be honest with you guys when it comes to their pruning shears, and that's this one right here. I find this one to be fairly heavy. And I also find that the function of it doesn't work quite as well as this other option that I have. And this is a generic version that I want to show you here. Let me grab it. Well, that was highly uncomfortable. But for me, if I'm being honest with you guys, when it first came to the outdoor equipment, I was really hesitant just because I felt like the batteries really wouldn't be able to keep up. So my mom, in her infinite wisdom, and my brother had purchased this for their property. This feels cheap to me, I'm not going to lie, but when it comes to just the actual function of this and the power, and notice how it's just a much smaller front end, so it does not feel heavy, right? Now, you might be saying, this is not heavy. Come on, Joshua, right? But the reality is when this is out in front of you, right? I don't have battery. You're reaching out and you're doing that a lot. This just becomes front end heavy. And the mechanism of the blade, I just don't care for it as much as this one. So if you guys want to check out this one, this is the Dragro. And this is a 21 volt, but this is a 200 milliamp hour battery. And this one actually works really good. And these ones, of course, would work great for landscaping professionals. Now, one thing that I've actually used a lot of is these for hedgers. This is an M12. This has come in so handy. And I've got a longer extended reach one. I still have the steel when it comes to gas. I will be honest that thing, the steel with all the attachments, is just an absolute beast. And therefore, I have zero reason to replace it at this point. As much as I'd love to just go all in on Milwaukee and say, I'm just going to get it. I just don't need it. And I don't want to buy it for the sake of just buying it, right? I'm trying not to be that guy. With that being said, let's come over here just a little bit and let's focus in on this. I'm going to back the camera up just a little bit. All right, guys. A couple of tools that I've just absolutely loved is one is going to be, this is the hatchet, right? So this is Milwaukee's 8-inch chainsaw. And I'll be honest, if you're a beginner in the outdoor gardening world and you're a little bit nervous when it comes to a chainsaw, this just allows you to be a little bit less nervous, if you will, right? You've got a hand that you can rest on here to give a little bit of pressure. This cuts amazingly well, and it's one-handed. So this is built so that you can utilize this if you're up in a tree and you have to be able to do stuff single-handedly. This actually works out extremely, extremely well. So I would consider this one, if, like I said, if you're just getting into it, this to me is a fantastic buy. Now, the other thing that just recently I've looked at, I've not used it a ton, we have definitely used it, is the professional chainsaw. And this is the dual battery. Now, I got this for a couple different reasons. One, out at the land, I'm going to be doing a lot of downing of the timber. And so this thing is going to come in super handy. And I'll be honest, I watched a lot of videos that were talking through the process of, do you really go battery powered when it comes to things such as mowing, such as chains? Well, you really do require a lot of power, right? And I think there's still a consensus to a large degree that if you don't have a large storage of battery banks to go off, then of course gas is still going to win over, just because the convenience of, now I don't have to wait 45 minutes to be able to reuse it, right? But if you're going out and you're doing moderate or less activity, then this might be a great option for you. I bought it for a few different reasons. One, these are the XC8 milliamp hour or batteries. These are the Forge. Now, I also bought the push mower, and I'm going to be using that now that the weather's kind of turned, and we've been having someone that I know do the lawn for a little bit, but now that, just because my other Honda broke down, so I've got the Milwaukee lawnmower. I'm going to hopefully do a review on that after a while. But with the lawnmower, I got 2 of these Forge batteries. So for me, I feel that like I could use these to power the chainsaw, or I can use it to power the lawnmower as well. So this has been a game changer. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Hear me out. If you have any form of shoulder issues and or challenges, right? I have some family members that have some challenges when it comes to their grip, or whether or not you've got an injury, a rotator cuff. I'm not going to lie. And that's me. My right arm, I can absolutely tell you that I'm at the beginning stages of something that's just been a lifetime of work and being active. My shoulder is starting to feel it a little bit. So not only do I have to be intentional about my exercising and what I do for that, but I have to be careful how do I want to be just doing these rapid rap. It's hard on the body. So 2 things if you were considering going over to a system like this. 1, do it. 2, do it yesterday. Why? Because 1, you do not have to winterize your stuff. This is ready to go every day of the year with just inserting 2 batteries, pulling the trigger. I do not have to sit there and worry about flooding the system or making it just works, right? So from that perspective, the only really big downside that I see is if you've only got 2 batteries and you use it, it dies. Guess what? You now have to charge those batteries before you can continue on or start using it again. So from that perspective, I'm probably fairly willing to bet that you're probably going to get a couple sets. So, from that perspective, do it, and do it without looking back. It is a game changer. And again, if you are that person that has some medical challenges, this will just help keep you even more primed and in the game. Because again, you just have to, you don't have to do all of that sort of stuff. So let's head back in. So guys, I want to go ahead and go over my favorite 5 list, or if you will, my top 5 list, and that is going to be the M12. This is the drill and the driver combination. Now this is the Fuel series, and I absolutely love these for a variety of reasons. One, guys, these are compact and they're light. They're easy to handle, in tight spaces, and here's the other thing. Overhead situations. When I was doing all the screws to get into up top here, I tell you what, my goodness, when your arms are above your head for so long, that's probably why I have that shoulder challenges that I was telling you about earlier in the garden shed. But these are just absolutely fantastic, and these have surprising torque for their size. And this basically handles most DIY and light duty pro tasks. Now, this actually as well, when you look at the battery life, especially when you pair it with these XC4 amp hour batteries, these actually do extremely well. And these honestly are great for cabinetry, small hardware installs, or softwoods, right? This does great for that. And these have the LED lights, as they are, in my opinion, these are well placed. and they're effective for kind of dim areas, especially if you're going to be doing stuff down in kind of under sinks or whatnot, right? It just has a high value from that perspective. Let's move into number 2. So when it comes to this is that M18. This is that compact router that I was sharing with you, or what some people will call a palm router. For me, this thing is extremely smooth, and this thing has a variety of speeds, right? So this is what they call variable speed, which I think is perfect for edge profiling. You could do great, and the depth adjustment, like I was saying earlier, this fine adjustment is incredibly precise in my opinion, and very, very, very easy to use. And this will accept actually 1/4-inch bits on the bottom with minimal run out. So that's an important thing, and this is just great. You know, when you think about it, like you might be saying, well, what would I really use that for? This is great for trimming, for chamfering, for roundovers, which I tend to use quite a bit. And this is compact enough to be handheld, I mean, as far as the control, without really sacrificing power, if that makes sense, okay? Now guys, number 3 is gonna be this, this is an M18 plunge saw. It's very similar to a circular saw, but it's fully enclosed, so that gives you really good control, and that also allows you to enter into the board and gives you a lot of control over that, okay? So from that perspective, this gives you really clean cuts as you're utilizing it, and this also gives you the cordless freedom. That is, in my opinion, surprisingly efficient on an M18 battery as far as power, but also as well as longevity, right? And then if you use a shop vac or something, this does amazingly well with containing the dust as well, okay? Now, number 4 is going to be this fast inflation. This fills cars, truck tires, honestly quicker than you would think. It also has kind of on the top, it's got a digital readout with an auto shut off, and that really makes it so there's just no guesswork on your part, especially if you're uncomfortable with doing these. Now, this thing is extremely compact, and it fits easily into your trunk or your toolbox, if you will, but I absolutely love this. And this is honestly quieter than what you're going to be expecting. And it does not have a tremendous amount of vibration, which is awesome. So for you kind of DIYers out there, or even professionals, this is great for bikes, sports equipment, and honestly job site vehicles of all sorts. All right, number 5 is going to be the compound sliding miter saw that's over there. For me, portability of that thing just stands out. This thing is lighter than most saws in its class, and it is accurate and it is clean, guys, right out of the box. I have not had to make a single adjustment on that as of yet. And battery performance is great for large trim jobs, etc., that you want to use it for. Now, in my opinion, that thing is super easy to adjust if I needed to, but I haven't had to, so that's the beauty of it. So that's the top 5, but the 5 tools that I think I got the most surprise from, right? These were the ones that I wasn't really sure what I was expecting, but I ended up being like, wow, these are game changers, at least for me, and hopefully they will be for you as well. So when I look at this is that M12. This is, again, that Nibbler, and again, in my opinion, this cuts like butter through material. This thing has come in so much and so handy. Again, it's quiet and it's usable at almost any application. Again, remembering earlier what I said about as far as fire, this is just not going to create that. And all those little half moons are collected in this bag. You could see them in here, that these will eventually, I'll just dump those out when I'm actually using. So this is great for roofers, HVAC, DIY, kind of steel projects, if you will. And then the next, of course, is going to be my drill and driver set. And I understand that I already told you about these, but these just, again, these are, I wasn't expecting it, and I wasn't expecting to like it as much. I won't say too much more about these, but these are awesome. That's going to be more of an honorary mention just because they're in the previous list. All right, guys, so let's move on to number 2. This is one that I kept out of the favorite list for a reason. A couple things. One, this is what they call the 4-in-1, right? And this is, if you're brand new to woodworking, or you're just brand new to DIYing and you want something, and you're like, I'm only going to get one, there's a part of me that, of course, you won't have the significant power that you'd get with a larger one, but this one is a close contender for what you might want to get. And here's the reason why. One, this has a variety of different heads that you can use, right? These are the different heads that are available to be used with it and come with it, hence 4-in-1, right? So if you're just going to be doing basic stuff and you want a standard, like a keyless chuck, all right? Right? You've got this. Let's say, though, you're trying to get at something at an angle that you just don't have a lot of space, you can put on the 90 degree, right? Because then I can squeeze into a tight spot and put pressure down, where I could never fit this in there to give me the downward pressure. This allows you to have a 90 degree angle to allow that to become achievable. Now, there's also what they call an offset head, and you can see that this one is well above, and this will allow you, if you're trying to drill close to where two corners or two pieces of boards meet, you know that if you had a normal chuck, you've got the distance from the center of that chuck all the way to the top of the body, so you'd end up going down at an angle, right, in order to be able to do that. You just simply wouldn't be able to. But this offsets it to the top of the chuck, allowing you to still get some good pressure and getting close to that corner. So in my particular opinion, that's awesome. And of course, a lot of things now are hex ready and or capable, so you can just pop it on like that as well. And this is an M12 version of that. And then a lot of people don't realize, but this is actually a little magnetic strip on the front, so you can put a couple different bits on the front of that. And for some people, they love this little handle or the D handle on this because it adds a little bit of protection. If you're pushing and a board comes back, it's going to protect your fingers. I personally don't care for it. I would like this without, but at the same token, it is what it is. And of course, these have the little clip, so if you're climbing a ladder, you can hang it off of your back pocket, and then when you need it, you can come up and you're ready to go with it. Now, number 3, guys, is going to be the Milwaukee Packout system. I wasn't really sure. I was going to grab it, and I thought this is just going to help for getting out to the land, and that came in game changer. I can stay organized. In fact, I moved some of my normal tools from my drawers that I now keep in that the Milwaukee Packout, and I don't switch it back and forth, just because then when I do go to land, I have my system with me and I'm without lack and without wanting even more, if you will, that sort of thing. Now, of course, the other one is going to be that drill driver set I said earlier, but the other thing that I was super surprised on is this hatchet, right? This is a 8-inch, right, reach, okay? So this is truly a one-handed chainsaw, and this cuts like a beast. I'm not gonna lie, this thing has been absolutely awesome. And this is one of those auto oilers that keeps the chain running smooth and with minimal maintenance, in my opinion. And this is great for trimming, clearing brush, cutting small logs, and this is just super easy to pack, right? It's not very big, especially when you take off the battery. It's just super easy to use, and I do love this. And it's just, honestly, it's extremely capable. So I love this as well. Now, hey, I'd love to know for you guys, what tools would make it into your top 5 list, okay? And I'm especially interested because I'm gonna do another video that was gonna look at, if you were brand new to woodworking, what would be your first purchases up to $200. I'm excited to do that video, and I'd love your input so that I can incorporate that in with my list. Obviously, it probably won't be Milwaukee tools because you're going to buy one tool and there's going to be your $200, but we're going to go with something different. So if you guys can make some suggestions, that'd be amazing. And if you do want to go back and check out my video that's on the Packout system and how I do that when I travel out into the great wild west, then check out that video. It's going to be right up here. And shoot dang, guys, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later.